California's a place, of course, the most populated state in the US, with an economy larger than that of France or the UK. But California is also an idea, or a feeling. Do you know what I mean? Maybe it's 39.5 million feelings. Maybe everyone who lives in California has a different idea of what the dream of California looks like and feels like. I've lived in California most of my life. The Los Angeles area when I was younger, and the Bay Area for the past 14 years. For me, the reality of California has often been smoggy skies, strip malls, the working class neighborhood of Reseda. But every once in a while, I feel as if I momentarily brush up against the dream of California. You know, I hear it in the Don Henley song Boys of Summer, and I see it in that song's brilliant video. I could feel it in the sand between my toes and the salt in the air when I was walking along the beach in Santa Monica with my girlfriend in high school. And I could always experience it in the Sega arcade classic, OutRun. OutRun is a game about driving. And perhaps the best way to approach the dream of California in real life is to drive up Pacific Coast Highway, or weave through Topanga Canyon, or cruise up into wine country. But what OutRun does is distill the feeling of California, the fantasy of it. Creator Yu Suzuki has said that travels around Europe inspired most of the game's stages, and it is easy to see that in many parts of the game, but your journey is always bookended by things that felt quintessentially Californian to me as a young resident of California. The pristine beaches and blue skies of Stage 1, and the beautiful sunset of the high score screen at the end, palm trees silhouetted, the sound of waves gently crashing on a beach, the song Last Wave playing, which sounds to me exactly like the feeling of wistfully remembering a warm summer evening many years ago. And if any place on Earth can hold the multitudes of geographies and tones that comprise OutRun's 15 areas, surely it's the dream factory of California. As a kid, I actually had the Sega Master System version of the game. It paled in comparison to its arcade counterpart, of course, but my imagination filled in the gaps. The desire to escape was a constant part of my home life as a young person, and it must have been hundreds of times that I escaped into the fantasy of this game. The fantasy of being able to hit the open road, feel the wind in my hair, and go where my whims took me, into an idealized world where every song on the radio was amazing, and where my fears and problems would be left far behind. And OutRun didn't accomplish this through gameplay alone. Don't get me wrong, OutRun's gameplay is good. I was surprised, returning to it in its new release on Nintendo Switch, just how white-knuckle it can get, managing the fierce curves of some regions and narrowly weaving your way through clusters of traffic. And of course, the branching paths that make up the game's world were a brilliant idea that's essential to creating OutRun's open road fantasy. But man, it's the style that elevates this game to the level of a masterpiece. That's where the feeling comes from. You're not weaving through traffic on your way to work or striving to come in first in a race against other drivers. You're just cruising, man. Cruising in a Ferrari Testarossa with a woman by your side. When OutRun came out in 1986, the Testarossa was still brand new, having just debuted 2 years prior, and it looked like the car of the future. It looked like something out of a fantasy, too perfect and too beautiful to be real, which made it the perfect car for OutRun. And today, you can't separate OutRun's style or legacy from that car, even if Sega doesn't currently have the Ferrari license and has replaced the insignia that originally appeared on it with this bird spreading its wings or something. And yet, even when I was young, as much as I loved this game, I was frustrated by the limits of its fantasy. I didn't really care about this white dude in his Ferrari, where he was going, what he and his girlfriend were going to do that weekend, what his fantasies were. Of all the cars on OutRun's roads, my favorite was always the white convertible, which I interpreted as having 2 women in it, whether or not that's what the original artists intended. I wanted to know who they were, where they were going. A weekend getaway to Napa, perhaps? Were they good friends, laughing and enjoying each other's company as the warm sun lit their way? Were they lovers, giddy at the chance to get away from it all for a bit and spend some time together? Playing OutRun today, I still wish one of those convertibles could nudge the Testarossa out of the center of the screen, and I could be a part of their adventure. For so long, games treated me and others like me as if we didn't exist, as if we didn't have fantasies that games could fulfill just like the straight men games were made for did. Most of all, OutRun taught me just how vital style is in shaping how we experience the mechanics of a game. Games aren't a collection of separate elements, graphics and sound and gameplay and so on, all in separate little boxes that can all be evaluated independently of each other. The graphics and sound are intertwined with everything else about the game. They can prevent a game from having the impact it should, or they can make an otherwise solid game a transcendent one. Anyway, if you want to find me, look for me on the open road, the top down, the wind in my hair, those wayfarers on, listening to magical sound shower as I breathe in the salty air and smile. Los Angeles, California, January 30th, 2019. Please subscribe to my channel and look out next month for a short video on the tone of Diablo. See you then.